From frolicking through hidden courtyards and drooling over epic viewpoints and mind-blowing Incan ruins, in this video we'll be counting down the best things to do in the city of Cusco, Peru, the historic capital of the Inca Empire, saving some of the most epic day trips and onward travel ideas for last. Now, in case you're new here, hi, I'm Christina from happytowander.com, and this channel is all about practical travel advice from someone who's been there, done that. So be sure to like and subscribe if that sounds like your kind of thing. And stick around until the end for a free map of all these spots saved. I recently visited Cusco for the first time with my favorite eSIM company, Airlo, who showed us all sorts of unique sides of the city, from spirit and fruit tasting scavenger hunts to staying in one of Cusco's most amazing historic hotels. I also stayed a few extra days to explore the museums, attractions, and shopping in depth. So I have a lot to share. Famously designed in the shape of a puma, Cusco is a city that can be tough to navigate efficiently thanks to endless hills and sprawl. So let's use the puma as our guide and start in its belly, with a wander around the Centro Histórico. Centered around the bustling but beautiful Plaza de Armas, Cusco's historic center is a maze of cobblestone streets packed with colonial-era buildings. Within them, countless lively restaurants, bars, and shops, along with a sprinkle of ancient Incan foundations and walls in between just to keep you on your toes. Now, as lovely as it is, Plaza de Armas is by far the busiest and most stressful piece of Cusco. So I'd advise taking it off your list early in the morning before the crowds and touts settle in. Highlights here include the Grand Cusco Cathedral, known for its mishmash of Gothic, Renaissance, and Baroque design, built on the site of a former Inca palace. No photos are allowed inside, but a unique highlight is a version of the Last Supper featuring local delicacies like guinea pig and chicha. In the heart of the square, you'll find a central fountain depicting the Inca Emperor Pachacuti, surrounded at almost all hours by various tour groups. And on the square's southeastern edge, you'll find the ornate Templo de la Compañía de Jesus, known for housing the largest altarpiece in Peru at 21 meters tall and 12 meters wide, decked in glittering gold. Sadly, once again, no photos are allowed inside here, but I did snap this amazing view of the square from the impressive vantage point of the tower, though the nearby Starbucks supposedly offers a very similar view. And if you're looking to make it rain some soles, right next door to this church is a small market hall housing the Benemerita Sociedad de Artesanos del Cusco, which has a ton of amazing art and vendors selling the usual Cusco souvenir wares, alongside some more unique items as well. I found some very fun pieces here, including the cutest llama notebook, and also some of the fluffiest alpaca dolls I encountered on my trip, complete with tiny hats. Now, after pillaging the surroundings for fluffy alpacas, it's time to move on. Be sure to come back at night though for a completely different vibe, with the lights in Cusco's surrounding hills and mountains lighting up the sky like tiny stars, along with some fun nightlife opportunities as well, including a classic tourist pilgrimage to Paddy's just off the square, which has the obscure bragging right of being the highest 100% Irish-owned pub in the world. Now, if cans of Guinness isn't what you're after in your Cusco experience, the good news is you have cool must-sees awaiting you in literally every direction from Plaza de Armas. So let's move on to some of those. Amble eastwards, for instance, and you'll find Calle Hatun Rumio, an ancient street where you'll still find original Inca stone walls, housing unique highlights like the famous 12-angled stone, known for its incredibly precise stonework and seamless fit. And just one street over, you'll also find two of Cusco's most interesting museums. First, the Museo de Arte Precolombino, home to an astounding collection of pre-Columbian artifacts from cultures across Peru. From necklaces and jewelry pieces made of bone and shell, to silver artifacts like Chimu silver pins, bowls, and ceremonial vessels, there is so much to see here. I especially enjoyed the wood gallery with centuries-old wood sculptures and scepters, as well as the upper floor where you'll find a dreamy selection of Nazca ceramics and Inca artifacts. Of course, you'll find Cusco colonial art here as well, but if it's more about Inca history you're after, you're in luck. Just down the street, you'll actually find the Inca Museum, housed in a beautiful colonial mansion once owned by a Spanish admiral. Sadly, photos aren't allowed inside, but the displays are really quite extensive, providing a lot of context to the historic sites, culture, and traditions that you see and experience all through Cusco. All that said, when in Cusco, you shouldn't just flock to the most popular, well-known museums. In fact, one of the most charming things about this city is that there are tons of smaller, amazing museums to visit as well that are just a quick Google Maps search away. To find hidden gems on the go, though, you need to make sure you have reliable mobile data. And for that, the best way is to get an eSIM before your trip, which couldn't be easier thanks to Airlo, my go-to eSIM company and the sponsors of this week's video. For those who aren't familiar with them yet, eSIM stands for Embedded SIM, meaning it comes pre-installed on your device and connects you to local telecom networks 100% digitally as soon as you land, meaning no more annoying physical SIMs or pricey roaming. With packages for over 200 destinations to choose from, I've been using Airlo for stress-free data on every trip for the past few years, including in Peru, where I use data constantly to translate signs, look up directions, find laundry services, and book transport on the go. Thankfully, with the Airlo app, I was able to buy and install my eSIM at the airport before taking off, which took a ton of stress out of my arrival because, as it turns out, I needed internet pretty much right away to figure out transport to my hotel, which would have been a total disaster without data since my driver was exclusively using WhatsApp to communicate. So, if you want to give Airlo a try, be sure to scan this QR code here to download the Airlo app, and use the code HAPPY to get a 20% off discount for your first purchase until the end of June. The best part is you can buy now and activate later for a future trip to take advantage of this limited time offer. Thanks again to Airlo for sponsoring this week's video and for bringing me on this amazing adventure in Peru. Now, if you've had enough of museums and are more into photo ops, one of Cusco's best can be found right outside of the Inca Museum, in Plaza Tricentenario, with an amazing perspective over Plaza de Armas. Before we go any farther though, I have to say, if your goal is to see all the main sites of Cusco and you also plan to explore further in the Sacred Valley, then it might make sense for you to first head southwards from Plaza de Armas straight to the Committee of Integrated Tourist Cultural Services of Cusco, or COSITUC. Because at their central office is where you can buy a Boleto Turistico first for convenience. Also known as the tourist ticket, this ticket effectively bundles entry to several attractions in and around Cusco, with archaeological sites and museums aplenty. Although, don't make the mistake of assuming it includes everything, because actually within the city of Cusco itself, there are several prominent sites missing. Granted, while this ticket isn't cheap up front, it can save you money if you're planning to see multiple sites, and also, I have to say, annoyingly, some sites aren't actually available to visit just on a one-off basis, which forces you into the pass no matter what, depending on where you want to go. It's not the best system, but it is what it is. Now, the easiest place to buy this pass in the city center is at the COSITUC office at Avenue El Sol 103. But some sites will have them available for sale as well. Because we're all about efficiency around here though, buying from this office first will actually allow you to check off your first site without even leaving the building. Because yes, just downstairs from this office is where you can check out the Museo de Arte Popular, which is dedicated to traditional Cusco folk art, miniatures, and religious crafts. While the fluorescent lighting and basement location aren't the most promising, I actually really enjoyed the collection here, with highlights including various Corpus Christi altars ranging from mini to ultra mini, as well as some really beautiful sculptures and adorably tiny recreations of Cusco. You'll also find tons of fun miniatures and dioramas here as well, many with a religious theme, but my personal favorites depicted everyday life and birds. Now, after posing with all the adorable tiny things, you can walk southwards a little further from here for one of my top Cusco must-dos, which is to admire the epic Qorikancha, also known as the Temple of the Sun, once the most important temple in the entire Inca Empire. During its peak, the temple walls were said to be covered in sheets of gold and dedicated to the worship of the sun. But because we can't have nice things, after the Spanish conquest, the Convent of Santo Domingo was built directly on top of the ruins, creating today's striking fusion of Incan and colonial architecture. This is definitely one of the most interesting places in the city to learn about the many layers of Cusco's history, literally. Just beware that this site is unfortunately one of those that is not included in the Boleto Turistico, unlike the Museo de Qorikancha, which is located directly below. Yes, I know it's confusing, and I assume it's on purpose. So, just to make things clear, do note that the main entrance of Qorikancha can be accessed a little farther uphill, whereas the entrance for the museum is at the bottom of the site, something I personally learned the hard way. The more impressive site is by far Qorikancha itself, where you can explore beautiful courtyards and original Inca walls. But the museum is interesting too. You get to see a lot of artifacts and unique displays, even ones depicting ancient burial rituals, ending with a fun frolic in the grassy area of the site for some unique photo ops. Just around the corner from here as well is the Centro Cusco de Arte Nativo, which is also included in the Boleto Turistico and features a showcase of traditional Peruvian folk dances every evening. Yes, clearly there's a ton to do south of the main square, but there's a lot more to see on the western side of the city, or the earth upon which the Cusco Puma lays. So, just steps away from Plaza de Armas westwards, for instance, you can visit Plaza Regocijo, which is surrounded by several museums, including the Museo Histórico Regional de Cusco, which is home to exhibits on the city's Inca and colonial past, with a beautiful courtyard adorned with rainbow ribbons. The fairly small Museo de Arte Contemporáneo is in this square as well, with a small collection of modern Peruvian artworks on display. Perhaps more enticing to most, though, is the deliciously named Choco Museo, a free option offering demos about Peruvian cacao and chocolate making. Though beware that this spot is definitely less of a museum and more of a cafe and gift shop. Although you can observe chocolates being prepped and prepared, and the view from the cafe is admittedly fantastic, as is their chocolate cake and coffee. So I guess the marketing worked. Enter around the side entrance as well, and you can also admire several highly impressive chocolate models, including an epic chocolate recreation of Machu Picchu. For a more immersive historic experience, though, just 2 streets over, you'll find one of my favorite lesser-known gems in Cusco. So let's move on to our next must-do, which is to visit the Museo y Catacumbas del Convento de San Francisco de Asís de Cusco. I had this place pretty much all to myself, and I can't believe more people don't talk about it. Maybe because the name is so long. In any case, this peaceful convent complex is one of the most idyllic and beautiful museums in the city, and a welcome reprieve from the chaos of the Plaza San Francisco just outside. Unfortunately, some of the most striking parts of this space are off limits to photos and videos, but some bits that took my breath away include the courtyard, as well as a library filled with hundreds of ancient sacred texts, beautifully displayed in glass-enclosed wooden bookshelves. There are also 2 small crypts from wealthy families here, but more interesting for me were the peaceful cloister and the stunning interiors. Plus, if you haven't had enough nice views, with a staff escort you can even visit the tower, where you'll find massive historic bells, as well as a unique perspective over the city. And hey, if you've worked up an appetite, from here you're just around the corner for one of Cusco's most popular attractions. So why not walk through the beautiful Santa Clara Arch and head over to explore San Pedro Market. This lively market is packed with vendors selling everything from ultra-colorful produce and spices to affordable eats and souvenirs aplenty. Though sadly, I visited on a day that it was exceptionally closed, so I had to use my imagination just a little bit. Still, I've heard it's a great place to try local snacks, sample exotic fruits, or simply soak up the atmosphere of everyday life in Cusco. Some of which I did get to experience with the sprawl of market stalls and vendors just outside, where I even found the cutest pet stall selling Peru-inspired garments. The surrounding neighborhood is also home to some cool murals, as well as a ton of affordable local food spots and shopping, so definitely worth a little wander. Now let's head up. Way up. Our next stop is the famed head of Cusco's Puma, where we can visit the massive ruins of Sacsayhuaman. If you're still feeling the altitude, I'd recommend grabbing a taxi to reach the top, then taking a leisurely walk downhill afterwards to see all the sights. If you are feeling ambitious, however, a 30-minute steep uphill walk from the historic center of Cusco will bring you to the city's most impressive archaeological site, Sacsayhuaman. Not pronounced sexy woman, as many will be tempted to. This enormous complex is famous for its zigzagging stone walls made from precisely fitted blocks, some weighing over 100 tons. While Machu Picchu has largely overshadowed these ruins, It is important to note that prior to its discovery, Sacsayhuaman was actually considered one of the best Incan ruins to visit, thanks to its dramatic scale and easy accessibility from Cusco. And I have to say, the scale and precision of these stones is truly mind-blowing, especially when you consider they were built centuries ago without modern tools. Highlights here include the colossal terrace walls, many of which are embedded with hidden images, and the open ceremonial fields. But the site also offers fantastic views over the city, making it a popular spot to combine history with a side of Instagrammy indulgence. For those who are up to take an extra detour, you can head to the Cristo Blanco from here as well, a large white statue of Christ that overlooks the city from above. Kind of like Cusco's answer to Christ the Redeemer, installed in 1945 as a gift to the city from the Palestinian community, standing as a symbol of peace and protection. As you can assume from such a high point, from here you'll get more sweeping views over Cusco's iconic rooftops and surrounding mountains. But if that's not high enough, the Cusco Planetarium can be found close by as well, offering views of the glittering skies above, with round-trip transport from the city center included. Now, if you're already visiting Sacsayhuaman, it might be worth it to explore other nearby Inca sites as well. The closest of which is Kenko, an archaeological site known for its carved rock formations and ceremonial spaces, including tunnels you can walk through, and a lower site that's actually free where you'll see lots of locals enjoying picnics. Though be warned, the walk here is along the road and not the most pleasant when it's hot out, which is something I personally learned the hard way. If you're up for exploring farther afield, there's also Tambo Machai, sometimes referred to as the Baths of the Inca, thanks to its impressive water channels and fountains. And nearby Puka Pucara, believed to have once served as a military checkpoint. For those who love maximizing value like me, these sites are all included in the Cusco tourist ticket as well. Now, whether you choose to add on further explorations or not, after some wanders through Incan history, it's time to head back into the city center. Because if you plan your route strategically, you can actually gawk at some of the city's most beautiful spots along the way, to avoid backtracking later. Just a few short minutes from the southern exit of Sacsayhuaman, for instance, you can enjoy a frolic along Calle Siete Borreguitos. This photogenic hotspot is one of the cutest spots for a quickie picky in the city, with colorful flower pots adorning the whitewashed walls and steep stairs. This street has easily made a name for itself as one of the prettiest spots with pots in all of Cusco, many of which are adorned with names. While you'll no doubt have to dodge a few photo shoots along the way, I'd say it is well worth a peek, since you'll find other noteworthy spots close by. The Sampantiana Aqueduct, for instance, is just a few minutes walk away. This small aqueduct dates back to the colonial era and is known for its beautiful stone arches tucked into a scenic green backdrop. Or you can head over to one of the most amazing viewpoints in the city, the Mirador de San Cristobal, located near the church of the same name, offering one of the best perspectives over Plaza de Armas, with an option to go even slightly higher by climbing the church tower, if your legs can handle any more trauma. I can confirm the views here are stunning even when you are actively getting soaked in the rain. Bonus points for being only steps away from some of Cusco's coolest murals and lunch spots with a view. For a quieter viewpoint alternative though, you can also head to Mirador de San Blas, a peaceful terrace tucked away of course in the San Blas neighborhood, which honestly deserves its own entry, so let's move on to our next must-do, which is to explore the San Blas neighborhood, one of Cusco's most charming areas, steeply and breathlessly uphill from the historic center. This artsy quarter is known for its narrow winding streets, often very, very high uphill, along with its whitewashed buildings and stunning views, which honestly is the least it can offer because getting here will be absolute torture for your legs. A lesson you'll no doubt learn the hard way, especially if you're directionally challenged like me. One highlight here is the Templo de San Blas, home to a wooden pulpit often considered one of the finest examples of colonial wood carving in Peru. But there's also the San Blas Market, which is a smaller alternative to the popular San Pedro Market with plenty of snacks and souvenirs to peruse. Erlo actually organized a local fruit tasting for us here, which was awesome and an experience you can easily DIY for yourself. In any case, be sure to try some chirimoya, once described by Mark Twain as the most delicious fruit known to men. Besides wolfing down legendary fruit, however, honestly the best thing to do in San Blas is, cliched of cliches, just to wander around, browsing local art galleries, popping into craft shops, and enjoying the slower pace compared to the chaotic city center. Some spots I can recommend checking out include the Casita de Chocolate, for great local chocolates, including ones shaped like Paddington himself. There's also Espresso 18, a beautiful little coffee shop with an incredible view over the city, and a mouth-watering assortment of baked goods. And plenty of great local artisan shops in this quarter as well, if you're tired of the endless parade of samey souvenirs. On that note, one of my personal favorite things to do in Cusco is to just shop and spend all your money. Truly, Cusco is a paradise for those wanting mementos to bring home, and those with a generous enough luggage allowance. If it's typical souvenirs you're looking for, Artesanías Asunda in the Historic Center have made a name for themselves, offering very transparent pricing and a truly massive selection of all the typical souvenirs found in shops all around the city. Whether you're trying to hunt down the perfect poncho, score a fluffy alpaca, or choose from a messy myriad of scarves, this shockingly massive souvenir wonderland is packed with fairly priced and clearly labeled goods, making it an overwhelming but transparent alternative to the other stalls that are laden with guesswork and confusion. Though I did find a lot of fun stuff close by at the Centro Artesanal Arte Inca, including the perfect carry-on bag for all my extra shopping. I have to say though, if you're looking for more unique finds, Cusco is full of them if you know where to look. Honestly, artisan shops are pretty easy to spot after a few laps around the city's souvenir circuit. But some spots I really love for shopping include Puquias Andean Fashion, which is full of unique one-of-a-kind pieces inspired by Andean textiles, perfect if you love the vibe of local garments but don't really see yourself wearing a poncho at home. And Pushka, which is a small family-run shop home to a ton of amazing pieces made by local family designers. In any case, my best advice is to shop around a bit before committing to buying anything, since prices will vary significantly by vendor and how much they think you'll pay. Now, I firmly believe that Cusco is a city that deserves more time than most visitors give it. But I also have to admit, it makes an epic jumping point for further Peru explorations, the most common of which is, of course, to venture out to the Sacred Valley. Located between Cusco and Machu Picchu, this magical slice of Peru is home to ancient Inca ruins, traditional Andean villages, and some of the country's most spectacular scenery. Little wonder why most guides on things to do in Cusco inevitably have you visiting these sites instead of the actual city. Popular stops include Pisac, known for its colorful market and hilltop ruins, Ollantaytambo, famous for its impressive fortress and beautifully preserved Inca street grid, the Terraces of Moray, known for its giant circular agricultural rings, Chinchero, home to several alpaca wool workshops and, in the near future, a shiny new international airport, and the striking salt pools of Maras, known for their thousands of bright white terraced evaporation pools carved into the hillside. Very epic and very dramatic. One of my favorite experiences we did with Airlo, though, was a llama trek, coordinated by the Llama Pack Project, a unique organization whose goal is to restore the original role of llamas as pack animals in an effort to create a more sustainable solution for tourism in the local area, where non-native mules are prioritized by many companies, which has led to environmental degradation and a lack of involvement for local families. Today, the organization works with over 100 families in 11 communities in the Sacred Valley and beyond. And as for your role, well, visitors have the incredibly difficult task of trekking alongside llamas of all shapes and sizes. Our group was really lucky and even got to spend time with not only male llamas, but also mama llamas, expectant mama llamas, and baby llamas as young as 2 weeks old. This was definitely one of the most adorable and unique experiences I got to enjoy. Speaking of unique, another up-and-coming experience to check off your list in the Sacred Valley is astrotourism, which we enjoyed in Mismanet. During our trip, Airlo made a donation to this local community who graciously invited us for a homemade dinner and an unforgettable fireside evening with local song, dance, and plenty of amazing stargazing. while our endeavors were impeded by a few clouds, the darkness of the sky still allowed for some amazing star spotting and is definitely something I can highly recommend if you're hoping to go off the beaten path in the Sacred Valley. Now, while many travelers do dip into the Sacred Valley for a day trip for Cusco, I would personally advise staying overnight, especially if you're en route to Machu Picchu. Sure, day trips are nice, but actually staying here is a different experience entirely. Plus, some of Peru's most unique and stunning accommodation can be found here, from llama hot tub lodges to actual sky pods dangling off the side of a cliff. We stayed at Tambo del Inca, a stunning property just off of the Urubamba River with a dreamy pool and even dreamier rooms. Now, if you have the time, a final onward journey from Cusco I can highly recommend is to hop on the luxurious Peru Rail Titicaca over to Puno. This was one of my favorite experiences we enjoyed in Peru, so yes, I have to mention it. This 11-hour journey takes you through the heart of the Peruvian highlands, passing by rolling mountains, remote villages, and a truly unfathomable number of alpacas. All from the comfort of luxurious seats, or a swishy bar cart with an open-air panoramic carriage. Throughout the journey, you get to enjoy a 3-course gourmet lunch, as well as afternoon tea shortly before arriving. And aside from the endless views, there's plenty of fun entertainment as well, from live music and wool product fashion shows, to even a pisco sour demonstration. I have to say though, the classic rock covers with the addition of flute were a highlight. Alternatively, for a more budget-friendly option that is literally 10 times cheaper, you can catch the Inca Express bus to Puno instead. This full-day tour brings you along the Ruta del Sol to some amazing spots south of Cusco that many tourists miss, including the picturesque village of Andahualias, home to the Church of San Pedro Apóstol, known for its lavishly painted interior, earning it the nickname of the Sistine Chapel of the Andes, which again, sadly, I wasn't allowed to photograph, so here's a sneaky loophole preview. There's also Rashi, which is an important Inca archaeological site, known for its Temple of Huiracocha and 14-meter-high walls. Abu Chimboya, the highest point between Cusco and Puno, and possibly the most stunning place you'll ever souvenir shop. And Pucara, home to a museum dedicated to the region's pre-Inca Pucara culture and its famous bull sculptures. The tour ends, of course, in Puno, whose main draw is its location on Lake Titicaca, the world's highest navigable lake. We stayed at the GHL Lake Titicaca and slept with amazing views like this and had breakfast with views like this. One time, I even saw a dog chase the property's on-site alpacas, which was honestly one of the funniest things I've ever personally seen. The main reason to visit this portion of the lake are the intriguing Uros Islands, which are made entirely of reeds carefully layered and maintained by the local Uros people. A half-day trip out to see them is a must. Assuming you have time. All right, thanks so much for watching, and be sure to check out this link here for that free map I promised. And for more Peru and Machu Picchu tips, be sure to check out these videos.